Hi, I'm Bill Bradley. Join me for a recent excerpt of American Voices. Here in American Voices, we celebrate all this country has to offer. So after hearing about people's life stories, we also want to celebrate the land. So each week we invite authors and artists to tell us about a favorite place or sound in the country. This time we hear from Samuel Ashworth. He's the author of The Death and Life of August Sweeney. Here's Samuel Ashworth on his favorite sound.
Hi, my name is Sam Ashworth, and my favorite sound is silverware struck against a wine glass to quiet a room. Ping, shh. That, to me, is what a great idea feels like, where there's this sort of soft, soothing, downy feeling that comes over your brain, and you know it's right. There's a momentousness that comes with that sound. It's a very tiny noise, but it has this extraordinary power over a whole room. You also feel an obscure nervousness when that happens, right? Something important is about to happen. And you intuit that even as a small child, and everybody goes quiet. And usually it's a good thing, right? Usually you are about to hear a toast, a speech, or someone is going to thank somebody for something. And there's an expectation. Suddenly, this ordinary scene has turned into theater. And I think that's what's so exciting. I grew up in restaurants and I grew up loving restaurants. My father was a restaurant architect in New York City for most of his career, which meant that when we went out, often we were going to a place he had designed. And this was known in my family as research. And what was great about it was that it gave me this sense of ownership over that restaurant. Even as a small kid, like I had a different relationship with this place than other people. My father had helped make this place. And really, in my head, as an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, my dad did make this place. It was as if he built it with his bare hands. And I would even get to see these places when they were job sites. I would see them when they were half constructed. My father would always take the time to explain to us how it was made, and he really reveled in details. For me, a detail isn't just the term that we usually use. A detail, to me, really specifically refers to a small drawing that my dad would do of a piece of a bar, right? A support piece of a bar or a light fixture or something. And very often, one of the things that we would really pay attention to was the lighting and the sound. And we'd always make fun of my dad, actually, because his restaurants were always too dark. Like we learned at a young age to hold a candle up to a menu so you could read it. And the other thing he would do, he always made sure that you could hear in his restaurants. And so I'm very sensitive to sound in restaurants now. I'm very prickly about restaurants that don't control for sound. But he often made the light fixtures himself, or he would design the light fixtures himself, because his office, he worked in Chinatown in Lower Manhattan, and it was around the corner from a store that I'm sure is gone. And he would go and he would take me sometimes, and we would go pick through the store and pick out pieces, and he would just sort of put together the chandeliers or wall sconces. He loved to make things out of little pieces, right? The more constructed, the more tactile these things were, the better. So we absolutely, my brother and I grew up thinking of restaurants as these things that weren't just there to feed us, but that were made by so many people, that were the work of all of these different characters that we had grown to know over time. My father, he is a fantastic person to go to a restaurant with.
Thank you for listening to American Voices here on my YouTube channel. For more interviews celebrating the goodness and creativity of the American people, click the subscribe button below.